Hi, I'm Strength and Conditioning Specialist Mike Mejia, and welcome to another installment of Ask the Dryland Coach, where this time around I'm going to be fielding a question from one of my fellow coaches who wonders what's the best way to get swimmers who are returning from an extended summer break not only back into the pool, but back into a structured dryland training program. Now, this one can be a little tricky because you're going to have a variety of different kids in your program. Some who've done absolutely nothing over the break from a dryland standpoint, while others who may have spent too much time in the weight room accentuating existing imbalances that have developed over a year's worth of swimming. So what I've come up with here is a total body conditioning circuit that not only addresses swimmers of all ages and ability levels, but because it works on things like dynamic balance, stability, core strength, and overall systemic strength, it'll give your swimmers a heavy dose of everything that they need to not only get in shape to swim, but to help prevent injury as well. So now let's go ahead and take a look at how you do that circuit.
All right, we have Nicole all set to help us out. And for our first drill in this body weight conditioning circuit, we're going to go with an X squat. Now for these, you're going to begin with your feet about shoulders width apart. And you're going to start out by squatting down and driving the hips back and positioning both arms forward with the thumbs down in internal rotation. Then in one movement, up and out into external rotation. Go ahead, Nicole. Notice the way she really sits back into those hips, a little quicker than that, and turns those thumbs down below the level of the shoulders into internal rotation and gives a spiral diagonal pattern up at the top as she goes into external rotation and really pinches those shoulder blades down and together. And that's the X squat, and you want to do about 10 to 15 reps of that one. Next up, we've got the jumping jack to reverse lunge combo. With this one, Nicole does a jumping jack and straight up into a reverse lunge with both arms up overhead, jumping jack, and reverse lunge to the other side. Notice the way she gets a nice long motion there as she's really getting that back knee down and those arms up, stretching that back hip flexor. And that's the jumping jack to reverse lunge combo, and you want to do about 12 to 16 of these. Next up, we'll really get those hamstrings warmed up and work on some hip mobility with a drill called Bootstrappers. Once again, in that same position with the feet about shoulders width apart, Nicole begins by reaching down and placing her hands onto her insteps with her legs straight. From there, she squats down, shows me her chest, and then drives up and through, keeping the hands on the insteps. Go ahead, Nicole. She lowers into those hips. Now, this is a tough one. Some of you who are not that flexible may have difficulty in getting your chest up. You really want to work on hip mobility here. Great stretch in the hamstrings on the way up, and those are called Bootstrappers. Next up, we've got some thoracic rotations from the bottom of the bootstrapper position. In this drill, Nicole is going to get that chest up, hips down. She's going to release one foot as she rotates over and watches her hand go up and through and back down. Goes to the other side. A nice slow movement here. Now these are, again, very difficult, but we're working on thoracic mobility. Try not to change the position of the hips. Keep the knees in line with the feet as you rotate through. And those are thoracic rotations from the bootstrapper position, and we'll want to do anywhere between 8 and 10 of those. Next up, we're really going to blast your core with a drill called the Spiderman elevation change. Here, Nicole gets down in a plank position. And from here, what she's going to do is bring one knee around, almost touching the elbow, not changing that plank, switching to the other side, trying to keep the hips nice and low. Excellent job. And from here, maintaining that neutral spine, she's up into an elevation change, back down nice and smooth. Let's see one more of those, Nicole. She comes around to the one side, back and through, keeping those hips low. Around with the other leg. Takes a lot of flexibility in the hips, a lot of mobility rather, and down under control. Great, and that's the Spiderman plank with an elevation change, and you're going to want to do anywhere between 4 and 8 repetitions of that one. Our next drill is going to target the always important glutes and hamstrings, as well as really work your core as we get a stretch on the opposing limb. And this is the supine single leg figure 4 bridge. Here Nicole is going to cross her right leg right over her left. And in this position, she's going to brace her core and then push into the ground with that left leg, activating that glute and hamstring. Good job. Little hold at the top and down. As she stimulates the glute and the hamstring on the left leg, she's also getting a great stretch in the glute on the right leg. So this is sort of a double whammy drill here. It does a lot of things. And that's called the supine single leg bridge, single leg figure 4 bridge. And you're going to want to do anywhere between 10 and 12 repetitions per leg. Next, we're going to work some rotational core strength with a drill called windshield wipers. Now for these, Nicole lies down on her back with her arms out to the side, and she's going to lift her legs up over her torso. And now here, she keeps her legs together as she lowers them over to one side, as close to the ground as possible, but making sure not to allow the opposite shoulder blade and arm to leave the ground. So in reality with this drill, how far you get to the ground is going to have a lot to do with how flexible you are as well. It's not just about pure strength. You want to make sure that you don't go so far over that you lose control and your limbs hit the ground, and you also want to make sure that you don't allow those shoulders to gap away from the ground. And that's a windshield wiper, and you're going to want to do anywhere between 12 and 16 total repetitions here. Our final drill is called the standing bird dog. Now with these, you're going to get a lot of glute, hamstring, and calf activation in the lower body. Your core is going to be working like crazy. You're going to get some upper body activation, and it takes a lot of mobility as well. So basically the whole 9 yards here. And for this drill, Nicole starts with her feet a little bit closer than usual, knees slightly bent. And here she's going to begin by bending forward. The hips are the hinge as she extends one arm out and the opposite leg until she gets just about parallel to the floor, and then pushes through that left leg to come up and through. Great job. She then alternates, reaching for the wall in front of her and trying to get that back leg up extended to the wall behind her. That's excellent form. Notice how the knee stays soft. She really uses the hips as the hinge here, extends through the arm and leg, lots of balance going on, lots of core strength. As I said, stability through the hip, knee, and ankle. I would just have her pick that chin up a little bit off of her chest, straighten that back knee, and that's a great job with the standing bird dog. And you want to alternate these until you've performed anywhere between 10 and 12 total repetitions.